Hey everyone, Suri here, and welcome back to another week of Astro Season offense matches. This season ended up being very cav heavy, which gave the Slaydelgard squad a great chance to take the spotlight again. Summer Edelgard's an extremely flexible unit, and this team lets her take full advantage of her strength as a mobile Galeforcer. The combination of slaying and a multi-hit weapon gives Edelgard an easy time activating Galeforce, and the extra true damage from Heavy Blade edges out the benefit she'd get from her native ideal. Assault Troop makes it easy for her to access the enemy front line, and Raging Storm gives her a free Galeforce to enable her triple action turns. Ascended Florina is an excellent complement to that style, giving Edelgard even more mobility options than she already has, along with an escape route no matter how far into enemy lines she dives. Stacking HP for her might seem counterintuitive, but the current setup allows her to enable her weapon with a single reciprocal aid, giving the team a lot more flexibility in using their assists, and engaging on the first turn. Winter Bernadetta ties the trio together, using Priest's start of turn damage to let Florina enable her weapon. She also happens to be an excellent way to soak Bright Shrines, helping to keep Edelgard's attack stat intact. The Mythics are here for support. The Sabotages are a great way to let Edelgard break through even bulkier blue opponents, and Naga's remixed Divine Fang gives Edelgard access to quads against most enemies. Now that we've gone over the team, let's get to the first match. This match was a fun way to start off the week, even if they're only using a 6-unit team, which is a little odd since Odur does enable the 7th slot for them. Cav lines can still be tricky to navigate around though, especially with a legendary Sigurd helping to extend the threat range of his entire team. Brave Eric is a good way to back him up in melee, and Leaf, Lysithea, and Corrin make a really solid trio of ranged threats to deal with. Honestly, I think the biggest issue handling this map is mostly trying to make sure you reach these ether pots before you close things out, since it can be hard to actually reach those corners before these cavs become a problem for units you don't want them to attack. We get things going right away here. Edelgard doesn't have any problems taking down Sigurd once she gets in range of him, and can finish off Leaf without any issues as well. Florina gets to canto forward next to the lake here, and Edelgard can retreat past her, which sets her up nicely to be able to use Florina's super guidance to reach Odur on this next turn. And there, the movement gets a little tricky, since we do want to corner Corrin to make it easier to reach these ether pots afterwards, and we end up using a reposition and smite to have Florina test this bolt trap. Thankfully, 50 damage still isn't quite enough to push Edelgard below 25% health, and she can use this super guidance again to cut a corner and knock out Erica before taking down Lysithea. From there, we can have Bernadetta warp in and smite Edelgard into position before just moving Florina over and having Plumeria warp into Dancer and complete the trap. And with Corrin stuck in place, there's not really anything stopping us from picking these pots up on the following turn and closing out the match.
I'll study your technique.
This was a fun match. It's not too often that I see a high investment Wellhard on a defense team. The flash and menace effects he applies to any enemies in his attack range can make it tricky to tank your way through this, and the maxed out Brave Hector on the backline does a good job of keeping his team safe from any ranged hit and run attempts. Their front line's pretty solidly bulky too, with a remixed Duma and a fallen Edelgard, who transforms after the first turn thanks to being flanked by Duma and Saros, and can make it pretty tricky to take a melee approach to this as well. Unfortunately, it does take a turn before Edelgard comes online, and we can just smite our Edelgard in to get things started right away.
Sure.
While Duma does have damage reduction on this first hit, it doesn't protect him from the second, and Edelgard can finish him off even without getting the effective damage from Naga. And then we can move her in to take down their fallen Edelgard, before she gets her damage reduction online, and then use Florina as an escape route to move right back to her starting position.
One future. Yes.
Close your eyes.
The safety fence shuts down their first turn, so we don't have to worry about it. And clearing out that front corner of their team means that we can just smite Edelgard forwards again, and let her start picking apart the rest. Bulky as this Wellheart is, he is a green unit, and as a red, Edelgard has a pretty easy time carving through him.
Let's swim.
Thracer's a very easy second target, and we don't actually end up taking a third combat this turn,
I'll face it head
since
on.
it's better for us to just lock Ninian into her corner, and let Edelgard enemy phase the Hector and Saros.
What is your desire?
A hardy fighter Hector is usually a bit of a pain for Edelgard to deal with, but taking that 1 damage from Priest actually disables Hector's entire weapon when he initiates a combat here. And thanks to the sabotage and extra speed she's getting from Naga, she can quad him down, for using that effective damage to break through Saros without any problem at all. And with only Ninian left on the board, it's not too hard to close this out. We move Florina forward here and end up stepping on the real Hex Trap, which isn't the worst. We can just have Naga reposition her over after a dance, have her pick up the pot in the top right,
I am the
let Ashra pick up the second Aether pot, and then let Edelgard close out the match. This match was a fun way to close out the week. It's another Cav line and the first Thief Nina that I've seen on a defense. I do think she's pretty solid, especially with her bonus week. The C feud and the raw damage she can pack into every hit make her a bit of a menace, and backing her up with Leaf, Elise, and Veronica all at plus 10 means this team has quite a lot of firepower to work with. The 2 restores on the healers also make it very difficult to predict where this team is going to move on any given turn, which can make it really annoying to reach these Aether pots all the way in the corners. At least while keeping everybody alive and not knocking out the entire enemy team before you do. I decide to get things going here with a less standard approach by opening up the corner, and then dancing Naga to reposition Edelgard forwards, to clear out the Nina and Veronica.
I'll study your technique.
Clearing out this corner of the map means that we don't actually have as much of a threat area to worry about for the following turn,
Wish you luck.
so we don't actually need to have Florina get herself into her weapons range on this first turn, and we can just have Edelgard back out and use the safety fence to end their first turn before it begins. Unfortunately, while planning this out, I did make the mistake of forgetting the double conditions on Assault Troop. Since Edelgard doesn't have full health and she doesn't actually have any enemies in those 3 columns, she doesn't have the extra movement that I expected to, and I had to adjust my approach a little bit. Thankfully, Florina's super guidance means that it's easy enough for Edelgard to continue getting into range and Galeforcing through the rest of their team. Taking out Mirabilis is important to stop them from actually running all over the map, which means that after a dance, Florina can actually activate her weapon and help Edelgard get back out of range of their team. Without a dancer, they don't really have any chance of reaching us here, and Saros moving forwards means that Edelgard has an assault troop to work with again. Slowly reposition her forward, let her carve through the Leaf, who's really impressively bulky here. Takes 3 hits to take down, and we don't actually get the heavy blade.
I wish you luck.
But since he doesn't have guard, that just means that she has a very easy time activating that Gale Force.
Yes.
And then we can move Florina up, use the super guidance to pick up 1 Aether pot, have Edelgard grab the second one, and let her end the week in the enemy phase.
Maybe.
It was another fun week of matches overall. The Slaydelgard squad is just a lot of fun to use. Having that many mobility options makes planning the match out really interesting, even if it does feel a little degenerate sometimes. We do have a Discord server if you'd like to hang out and chat. There's a link in the description, and I've also got a Patreon link there too if you'd like to help support the channel. As always, I hope you've enjoyed the video, good luck with your own matches, and I'll see you next time.